Good morning, students. Today we are going to look at a topic that is very important to social work. You would have come across various concepts, methods of social work, and lot of things that are related directly to the practice of social work. Now, as you all know, social work is a profession which is interdisciplinary in nature. The concepts and a lot of subject materials are borrowed from several other disciplines. So, and one such discipline is the behavioral science, psychology. So, the topic that we will be dealing now is motivation. Now, motivation is not something that is exclusive to social work alone. Next year, when you move on to specialization based studies, also motivation will appear in various forms, or the concepts of motivation you will come across in various subjects, particularly in organizational behavior and organizational development. Now, what is motivation? It comes from the root word motive. Motive is intrinsic in nature. It comes from within you, within oneself. It is a push, a force that pushes you towards a goal. Goal is outside. Goal is extrinsic in nature. So, this intrinsic energy, intrinsic push propels one person towards the goal which is external or extrinsic in nature. And so, all human behavior will be directed based on motivation. We all behave in a particular way because we all have some motivation or the other. Several scientists and researchers have propounded different kinds of theories as how motivation works. We are going to look at one such theory now. The theory that I am going to talk about is the theory propounded by Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist. He was born in the year 1908 and he died in the year 1970. He wrote in a particular paper in the year 1943 a theory called need hierarchy theory. So, what does this theory say? This theory says that human behavior moves step by step. There is a gradation in human behavior based on that intrinsic push. So, there are needs that human beings have. Which moves them or pushes them from one step to another slowly upwards. So, that can be depicted through this pyramid chart. What does Maslow say? He says every human being works towards certain needs. So, step 1, he says, are the basic needs or the physiological needs. So, what are the physiological needs? Every human being strives for food, shelter, clothing. He also includes sex. He says every human being strives to fulfill these basic needs. Only when these needs are fulfilled, a human being can comfortably move to the next level in his search of or pursuit of needs. So, physiological needs, he needs food, good food, shelter, clothes, and all these basic instincts. Right? For example, thirst, good sleep, good rest, all these are something that physically a human being craves for. So, once all these needs are fulfilled, a human being tries to move to the next set of needs. What are they? They are called the safety or the security needs. Security or the safety needs. What do they mean? He has earned his food, shelter, clothing. Now, he wants to preserve it. He wants all these to be safe for himself. So, especially he looks for personal security. He wants a job that gives him good employment security, right? And then he wants to safeguard his property. He wants to see that he is safe in terms of his health. So, he tries to protect all that he has earned. Once he is able to safeguard his money, his property and whatever he has secured so far, then once his mind tells him that everything is safe and secure, he tries to move to the next step. What is the next step? He has his belonging or social needs. What does that mean? Once all this is safe, he wants to have people around him. He wants to raise a family. He wants to have intimate relationships. He wants to earn friends. He wants to reach out to his relatives. Right? So, socially he wants to connect. He wants to attend parties. He wants to attend social gatherings, meet his family. Right? So, and once he feels that he is important among people, he is intrinsically happy. So, once he has earned people around him, he tries to move further. We attend school, we go to a job, we make friends at our workplace, we make friends at our at school, college. All of you would have done this. Next is automatically he moves to the next step called the self-esteem needs. A human being always has these wants, craving. He is with his family, but he wants to be recognized by his family. He is in his office, he wants to move up in his position, he wants promotion, he wants respect from others. So, it is basically a person's craving for recognition, respect. He wants to buy a car, a big house, he wants to enjoy a status in the society. Right? He wants to become a leader. He wants people to respect him. So, all of us want that self-esteem. He wants to satisfy that self-esteem within him. All of us have that. And then once this is also achieved, there is this topmost need that every human being wants to achieve, which many do not or only a few do achieve. It is the self-actualization needs. What is self-actualization? It is a stage where one feels he or she has experienced or exerted his complete potential, his or her complete potentials, has been creative, has used himself or herself completely for the benefit of himself, benefit of his family and benefit above all for the benefit of his family. And that is called reaching the complete potential of creativity and exhausting the potentials of oneself. The typical example that we always give is our own father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Someone who has completely used his potential, lived for the welfare of the society. Right? And remember, these are physical in nature. So, they are called as lower order needs. And these are mostly emotional and psychological in nature, something that a person feels from within. So, they are higher order needs. Now, you can fix yourself where you stand, right. So, all human behavior will be directed towards this pyramidal structure step by step. So, we work towards achieving. If a person is stuck anywhere in any particular step of this pyramid, it is very difficult for that person to move to the next step. So, gradation takes place only one person feels completely fulfilled with that particular needs that is peculiar to that particular step. Hope all of you have understood how human behavior is slowly propelled from one step to another based on one's motivation. Right. So, now we saw how motivation, people are motivated, every human being is motivated upwards from reaching the physiological need and then moving to achieving the safety need and then getting belonging and social needs, fulfilling the self-esteem needs and finally completing the completely reaching the topmost need of self-actualization needs. Now, when a person moves, a person will not have a smooth journey in achieving his needs. So, the motivation will keep pushing, and there will be lot of conflicts that a person will undergo within himself or herself when trying to realize, trying to reach the goal through motivation. We will see how that conflict works. I already started telling motivation starts from having a motive. Now, when individuals attempt to fulfill their lower order needs and then move towards their higher order needs, they always have conflicts within oneself. Now, hope all of you know that conflicts can be of different types. You have intrapersonal conflict, interpersonal conflict, group conflict, organizational conflicts. So, there are motivation at all levels as well as conflicts at all levels. But from the point of view of psychology and at the point of view of one individual and the motivation within that individual, we will look at next topic, motive and then conflict of motives. Whenever there are goals, we try or fix the goal because we have that urge within us. So, we have a motive. So, the motive is directing us towards that goal. Now, when we work towards that goal, we will experience a lot of conflicts. So, we will at times resolve that conflict successfully, or we may not be successful in resolving those conflicts. If you resolve, you evolve as a happy human being. When you do not resolve those conflicts, you will also experience something called as frustration. Now, we will see how motives conflict. There will be conflict between motives and how what kind of frustration we will experience. So, there are the different types of conflicts of motives. Basically, there are 4 types. We will look at one after another. The first type of conflict of motives is approach conflict. Approach conflict. What is approach conflict? As you see, it has 2 words, approach, which are positive in nature. So, here you are here as a human being, right, and you have goals, right, you have 2 goals. Now, it is positive, both the goals are positive in nature. When the goals are positive, a person is attracted towards both the goals, right. So, here there is an individual, it is approach conflict. So, there are 2 goals for this individual and both the goals are positive in nature and they are attracting this individual. But the individual at one given point of time, the individual can take up only one goal. So, the individual is totally confused. The individual has to make a big decision, has to resolve the conflict. For example, you all are MSW students, or for that matter any course you are in, you are trying to get admission into a college or a particular course. At the same day, same time, you are getting a call letter from 2 different colleges. Both are very good colleges in the city and you like both the colleges, but you can do the course as an individual, you can get into only one college, right. So, both the goals are attractive. So, you have to decide, you will have to escape, there some escapism has to take place and you will have to choose one particular goal or one particular college in this context. So, you resolve this approach conflict. You choose one goal out of these 2, both of which are good. Now, we will see the next type of resolution of conflict. Next is approach avoidance conflict. Approach avoidance conflict. So, you have a motive, you have a goal, the motive pushes you to reach the goal. So, as an individual, a person is here, right, there is this goal. As I already told you, if it is positive, it will attract. At the same time, it is approach. Again, it is also avoidance. So, there is negative and it repels, right. It attracts as well as repels. So, what does this individual do? The individual finds it very, very difficult. Say for example, a person has got a job. Okay? The job is, say for example, the designation is assistant manager, but at the same time the salary given is only 10,000 rupees. There is positive thing to the goal, that is you have got a job and the designation is also good. But at the same time there is also a negative aspect to this job, that the salary package is very, very low. It attracts as well as it repels. You want to approach it, at the same time you want to avoid it. So, the individual has to, the motives are conflicting. So, the individual will have to resolve it and decide whether to choose the goal or avoid the goal, right. So, this resolution has to take place to achieve or fulfill the motive. So, we will move on to the next type of conflict. It is avoidance conflict. So, it is both negative. So, there is this individual, there are goals, two goals, right. Since it is avoidance and avoidance, both are negative in nature. So, if it is negative, it means it will repel, it will not attract, it will repel. How? Say for example, on a lighter sense, this person, the parents are looking for a girl for this boy. The father is suggesting two different girls, right. The boy does not like either of the girls, but the father is forcing the boy to marry either this girl or that girl, but this boy does not like either of them. So, what happens? The boy will run away from the situation. He will go seek solace or ask his mother to relieve him of this pain, this conflict. So, there is vacillation, do it or not, do it or not, but both are negative, there will be lot of pressure. So, the conflict will be at its peak. So, the person will think of running away from the situation. Running away from the situation means he tries to resolve it that way, so that he does not have to take up either of the goals. Next, the last one is, the last goal is multiple approach avoidance conflict. All of us will experience this at some point of time or the other. Here there is an individual, there are two goals, right. It is positive as well as negative. Positive, it attracts, negative, it repels. For example, an individual gets two jobs at the same time. Okay. The goals are going for a job. So, the individual applies or sends applications to various companies, and on the same day or during the same given period, the person receives a call letter from two different companies. Both the companies are good. One company is very far away. The individual might have to travel about 100 to 150 kilometers every day. That is the positive, right. So, that is the negative side. The positive side is the job is very good, a lucrative job, and the pay scale is very, very high, unimaginable. There is another job which is close to his home. He has to travel only 5 kilometers every day, but the pay package is very less, right. So, he or she has to decide. There is lot of vacillation. So, the person has to gauge the positives and the negatives and see which goal will best suit him. Okay. So, this conflict has to be resolved. So, there is multiple things, multiple factors will have to be taken into consideration to decide whether to go with this goal, whether to compromise with this negative or with this negative, and what does that individual really want, and then make a decision based on the evaluation of the goals and what is comfortable to the individual. Okay. So, now you have seen how there are different kinds of motives and how a person has to resolve these conflicts to achieve the goal. So, now this can be easily fit into the Maslow's theory. You can take it back, where every point, every stage in the Maslow's need hierarchy pyramid, a person, be it food, shelter, clothing, basic needs or safety needs, security needs or belonging needs, self-esteem needs, self-actualization needs, for achievement of every need, there will be multiple motives in every individual. There will definitely be conflicts that are taking place within the individual to evolve or to resolve this successfully. These motives of the conflicts will have to be resolved, and a person has to come out of it and achieve the goal. Only when the goal is achieved successfully without landing up in frustration, which is bad, only then a person evolves as a successful person. A person has to resolve his conflicts from point by point, and then the gradation, the movement from one step to another step in the need hierarchy theory becomes smooth, and a person becomes a happy person. Always remember, happiness is different and being successful is different. Being successful need not necessarily be bring happiness to someone, but being happy itself could be related to being successful. So, that brings us to the end of how motivation theory by Abraham Maslow and how conflict of motives can be related to this theory of propounded by Abraham Maslow. Okay, so conflict of motives and Abraham Maslow's theory on one side. So you can see that human behavior is always driven intrinsically, and always there is a conflict that is taking place within oneself. Now we saw how motivation and conflict of motivation drives one's behavior. There is something similar to this, another type of conflict. We will see how that works. Now that is totally, it is related to this, but it comes under a different purview. So motivation depends upon the personality of an individual. So now we will see how the personality of an individual relates in resolving the conflicts that could take place within oneself. Earlier we saw how conflicts are resolved within oneself, and then based on that how behavior is exhibited to achieve the goal. Now we will see how in the process of achieving the goal, how a person's personality works in resolving those conflicts. So each person has a unique personality, and the personality decides how a person is going to handle his issues, problems, conflicts, and how resolution or decision making comes out. Now, as for motivation, Abraham Maslow's theory was taken up for discussion. For personality also, there are different theories of personality, and today we will take up one theory propounded by a person called Sigmund Freud. He was an Austrian neurologist, a very popular person, and he propounded this theory called as psychoanalytic theory or psychoanalysis. Psychoanalytical theory or psychoanalytical theory or psychoanalysis. What did he do? He tried to give a structure to the human mind and tried to see how this structure plays a role in determining the behavior of an individual. Psychoanalytic theory says like whatever behavior is exhibited by an adult is the result of his experiences as a child. The childhood experiences influence the personality of an adult individual. So, whatever happens before 18 years of age will be the criteria for the behavior of an individual after he crosses 18. So, he tried to give a structure to the human mind. It is somewhat a peculiar structure. Okay. This structure, he said, the human mind has an unconscious part. There are certain things that we remember, right? And there are certain things which you can try and recollect, right? It is called the preconscious mind. And there is another part which is totally conscious to what is happening, right? Okay. What is unconscious mind? Today if I ask you a question, what you had for breakfast, 1 month ago. Will you remember? No. Certain things you will forget. It will go deep down into you, deep down embedded into your memory, in your brain. So, that is called as unconscious. Say for example, if I ask you, what did you have for breakfast this morning? You are very much aware. You know, you are in touch with the reality around you. So, that is your conscious part of the brain or the mind. And now if I ask you, what did you have for breakfast yesterday or day before yesterday, you will be able to give me an answer after a fraction of second or a couple of seconds if I give you, for you to, time enough for you to recollect. So, that is preconscious. Preconscious is the ability to cull out from the unconscious mind and bring it forward to the conscious mind. So, preconscious mind is in touch with both the unconscious part as well as the conscious part of the mind. So, this is the structure that Sigmund Freud gave under the psychoanalytic theory. Now, I was talking about conflicts. Now, you might ask me how conflicts can be brought in here. It can be. Now, in the same structure you can see Freud says that every human being, every individual at every given point of time behaves based on the interaction of 3 psychic forces. 3 psychic forces. What are they? They are called as id, ego and superego. Now, these 3 psychic forces are always interacting with each other, and they are conflicting forces. They conflict with each other, and then based on the decision that an individual takes, then the behavior results. Now, id is present here in this structure, id is present. Probably we can remove these parts and retain id, ego and superego, right. So, these 3 psychic forces occupy 3 parts of the brain, 3 parts of the human mind. Now, how do they work? I said they are psychic forces and they are always interacting with each other. Id is based on pleasure principle. It wants whatever it wants. It is the child in every individual, right. For example, all of us, even if we are 80 years old, we always have that child within us, a craving to do something. For example, on a rainy day, you just want to run out and get wet. Or the moment you see a vendor selling ice cream, even if it is a very cold day, you want to buy that ice cream and have it. You want to do it, you want to fulfill, because that part of the mind always seeks pleasure. You want to satisfy yourself. At the same time, there is the other psychic force, ego, which is based on reality principle. What does that do? It says like it rationalizes the thinking. It tries to talk to or interact with id and say what is right. No, you are not supposed to do this. I told you, I gave you an example. It is a very cold day, it is raining and you want to have an ice cream. Your mind is pushing you to have the ice cream. Ego is based on reality. What will ego say? Ego say it is raining, it is cold. If you have an ice cream, you are bound to fall ill. So, it is better to avoid. It talks reality. It says this is not what you have to do right now. Given the situation, you cannot look only for pleasure. Please be real. That is what ego tells it at that time. Now, when these 2 psychic forces are interacting, there is this psychic force which is based on morality principle which comes in. So, what is morality? Your values. Every human being is taught values right from the time a person is born. Now, what will superego say? Listen, you want to have the pleasure of having the ice cream. Ego says, ego is based on reality, and so it will tell ego, see here, you are also talking about having an ice cream, not having an ice cream. Superego will say, it is better, you have to listen to your parents. or ask the people around you whether this is allowed. Now, ego will come in and try to pacify both id and superego. Id is child, superego is very mature. Yes, superego is based on moral values. It is the parental state. So, ego will try to rationalize the two and say, maybe you cannot have the ice cream today, or maybe you need not get the permission of your parent. Probably you can have it tomorrow when the sun shines. It will tell you what is the what is reality, what is right, what can be done. So, it will try to act as a bridge between id and superego. So, coming back to the concept of conflict. So, these three forces, psychic forces, are always trying to have a conflict among themselves, and your behavior will be the result of which part of the mind becomes successful. Say suppose it wants to have the pleasure, then it becomes successful. If you are very scared and only if you want to abide by whatever the moral values have been instilled, superego will become successful. But most of the time we will rationalize and take into account what id says and superego says, rationalize between the two and come out with a solution, with an adult like solution, a reality based solution put forth by ego. So, our behavior will be the result of how these three forces interact, resolve the conflicts, and then that depends upon how an individual takes it up and comes out. So, the behavior is the result of these three, the interaction of these three forces. So, this is what a psychoanalytic theory or psychoanalysis says about behavior and resolving the conflict and thereafter exhibiting behavior, put forth by Sigmund Freud. So, I think this will make you clear how human behavior is influenced by the conflicts that are taking place within one individual. It could be motivation based conflicts or psychic forces, conflicts between psychic forces. So, I have taken two different theories, one theory from motivation and one theory from personality. Taken Abraham Maslow's theory and Sigmund Freud's theory and brought everything together and tried to tell you how conflicts take place within one person, an individual, intrapersonally, and how behavior is the result after the conflicts are resolved within one individual. Hope you have understood and it is clear to all of you. Thank you.